welcome. I am Amanda Farmer and this is Happy Hour. Welcome to Happy Hour, guys. You have made it to Friday afternoon. It has been, it's been a bloody long week and a bloody hard week for some of you out there as well. I am really, really excited to be here with you this afternoon to relax, to wrap up, to answer some questions perhaps that you might have that have come through from owners during the week, from colleagues. You might be a strata manager who is wondering how to deal with this extraordinary situation. Well, I'm here this afternoon to help. I'm really looking forward to giving you that guidance that you need in particular today. So if you are coming on in to the session, and I know many of you are lined up to do so, give me a thumbs up as you come in, give me a little love heart. If even better, drop a comment in the comment section, post a little bit of a hi, maybe let me know where you're coming from. Where are you right now? I know we have many people registered for the event from across Australia. I am seeing a post here that says, I am here with wine. Good, I'm glad. That's coming up as an admin post. I think that's one of my staff who's here with wine. So good to see you. Hi, Alex, how are you? Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Really great to see you here. Let me know if you are a committee member, if you are perhaps the chairperson in your scheme, if you are the secretary. I'm seeing Joe saying hi from Sydney. Lovely to have you here, Joe. I have just heard my front door slam, which means my little one is home from school. So if he runs into the room, that's what that's all about. It's all happening at this time on a Friday afternoon. I'm seeing Savia. Lovely to see you here. Happy Friday to you too, Savia. I know some of these names are strata managers. It'd be really great for me to know who you are, a committee member, an owner, a strata manager, just so that I can try and curate the content for you this afternoon to best help you. Hi, Judy is in Sydney. Alex is the chair on his committee. Great. John is a chair from Melbourne. Excellent to have you here. I've got a little update about Victoria as well there, John. Heidi is hiding in the background there. Yes, we're going to bring our very special guest Heidi on very soon. I'm seeing Melissa. How are you? Judy is the treasurer on her committee. Henry is here from Melbourne, which is awesome. Secretary from on an owners corporation. Lovely, lovely to see you all here. Those who are just coming in, give us a thumbs up, give me a love heart, let me know where you're coming from. I'm going to let you know a little bit about our structure for today. I have set aside about an hour to be here with you. We can go a little bit longer if we've got more questions. Might want to go get a refill for that. It is happy hour, and I did say if you would like to bring wine, you are more than welcome to bring wine. Yes, I did. So if you need a refill, go grab one, and we will kick on and keep answering as many questions and providing as much help as we can to all of you. So structure for today, I'm very soon going to welcome in our special guest, Heidi Dening. Many of you I know have questions that you have been saving up, whether it's about the current crisis that is challenging us all, or maybe it's about some strata legal issues generally. You are welcome to post those questions into the comments section, and I will come back to specific questions after the chat with Heidi, but put them in there as they come to you. And if you've got questions while I'm chatting to Heidi that you would like Heidi to answer, pop them in and we'll see if we've got time to jump into those as well. After the chat with Heidi, I've got some updates for you from, I have no idea what that just was. Some updates for you from around the different states about what our SCAs are doing, what's happening on that front in each state when it comes to strata meetings and our legal requirements for having meetings, how we vote, whether we should be having meetings. So I'll give you a little update about that after our chat with Heidi. And then I'm happy to answer some general questions that you might might want to throw my way, and let's relax into happy hour. Hey, it's Friday afternoon. I am seeing a number of you still coming through. Joe is a service provider to the Strata industry who conducts capital works, safety, asbestos audits. I can see Michelle, who was previously logged in as our admin on our site, and she's the one with the wine. You and me both, Michelle, you and me both. Okay, so if you're coming in, feel free to post a hi in the comments. Let me know where you're coming from. I am now going to introduce the lovely Heidi Dening. Heidi is an international keynote speaker, award-winning business owner, global advisor, passionate educator, and author of the best-selling self-leadership book. Her middle name is Courage. Heidi believes that resilient, optimistic self-leaders can create impactful, profitable businesses. Over the last 22 years, Heidi has started, scaled, and sold an award-winning health and education business, founded an international not-for-profit with hundreds of volunteers across 3 countries, and delivered empowering presentations and programs to business leaders on topics such as business performance, resilience, and self-leadership. Now, Heidi has been chosen for the New South Wales Government's Inspirational Women Showcase in the Entrepreneurial and Empowerment category and has been awarded Westpac's International Women's Day Local Hero Award. She is the only Australian to be selected for a global advisory position that looks at how our workplaces impact our stress levels, resilience, productivity, and mental health. And this gives her access to cutting-edge data on these topics. Since transforming her real-life setbacks, such as a paralysing illness where she lost the use of her legs, to gunpoint kidnappings, tsunami terror, and firebomb attacks, she now shares her impactful strategies from the stage and in workplaces so others can become the courageous self-leaders that they were destined to be. And I know Heidi has conducted presentations for SCA New South Wales and has worked with strata managers in workshops across Sydney. Heidi hates seeing people not live their life to the fullest, and that's why she's made it her mission to empower as many people as she can on how to strengthen their resilience and embrace self-leadership strategies so they can overcome adversity and rise out of tough times stronger than ever. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to be able to welcome Heidi Dening. I am bringing Heidi on right now. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm very well. I have a Friday afternoon gin and tonic in hand, so that is a beautiful thing.
Cheers. Happy hour.
Yeah, happy hour.
Now, how has your week been, this crazy week? Everybody's having similar experiences, I think, a bit blindsided, a bit overwhelmed. How are you feeling?
Yeah, look, it's been, same for everybody. It's overwhelming. It's very stressful. It's very uncertain. But I suppose, the fact that I specialize in building resilience in organizations so that they can better deal with stressful, uncertain, and challenging times, I feel like, I'm in a great position to serve and support people through and navigate through these really tricky times right now.
Yeah, I agree. And we were just talking about that off air, how important those skills are at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get into a few questions and we can chat around these if you like. I am just madly scrolling through my through my notes here to find the questions that I have set out, which don't seem to be here. Don't you love lives?
Oh, yeah.
Now, Heidi, we have strata managers tuning in. We have committee members. We have people who are being looked to, I think, at this point in time as leaders. And they may not have expected that previously. They might have thought, no, I'm not in a leadership role. That's not what I do. But all of a sudden, there are people who are anxious. There are people who are unsure, people who want answers, and they're looking to their secretary, their chairperson, their strata manager for those answers. How do these people step up into a leadership role that maybe they never expected to have to fill?
Look, we are looking at the moment for leaders, and however that is defined, who are calm, who are kind, who are smart, and who are a little bit visionary. There is so much panic going on, And whether or not you considered yourself a leader in the past, this is a great opportunity to be remembered for how you behave and how you speak and how you act and how you think right now. And we need calm, smart, visionary, kind leaders to step up and be the kind of leader that the world needs in these very tricky times.
Mm.
And I mean, I see a few ways that can happen. And whether that you are leading, Strata teams, whether you are the secretary or the business manager, or, you have Strata organizations that you've got other teams that you're leading, whatever that version of team is for you, whatever that version of leader is for you, there are a number of things that you can do to show that you are a resilient leader, because it is the resilient leaders who are going to embrace these qualities and navigate us through these tricky times. And I see the number one thing is of being of service. Right now people are panicking, they are overwhelmed, and they're not looking to be sold anything. They're not looking to have people kind of at them with what's next, what's next, what's next. What they need right now is people around them to be of service. So as a leader, when you can be of service to others, and that might be as little as helping someone that set up the tech because they're now working from home, but they're not very tech savvy, or having that kind of once a day, are you okay conversation with somebody to find out what it is that they really need. But being of service is a really important component to being a resilient leader right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you raised that. And I want to give an example of that, actually, that a Strata manager has posted about on LinkedIn. I am just going to say, guys, if my internet drops out, because you've got to love NBN, and I disappear, I will be back. So just hang in there. I'm just monitoring the service at the moment. Heidi, you mentioned there being of service, not selling. Another way that I put it is not talking at people, telling them what you're doing, what your company's doing. I said in my podcast last weekend that if you're like me, you've got about 14, what's now probably 400 emails in your inbox that says this is what our company's doing in response to the coronavirus and how we are protecting you and looking after your well-being. Nina, who is a Strata manager at Net Strata in Sydney, actually posted on LinkedIn this week and said, please, suppliers to the Strata sector, please stop sending us those emails. We've got about 50 of those in one day. You can imagine how many suppliers are servicing Strata buildings and sending out these messages. And I understand from the supplier's point of view, they want to be very clear that they are addressing the issue. I think you can assume that as a service provider, you're aware of this issue and you are taking steps, whether you're a cleaner or an engineer or whatever service provider you are, or a lawyer. We probably don't need to be talking at our Strata managers whose inboxes are overflowing. So taking your point, Heidi, how can we be of service to those managers? How can you put up your hand and say, hey, if you need to send some people my way to answer some questions, if you need to switch around that contract, have a new start date for the contract because you can't have a meeting right now to approve the contract, how can you be of service? So thank you for raising that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that leads to the next one of leading by example. So if that is not what the behavior you want from people, don't do it yourself. So we want to lead by example because, as we know, our actions speak much louder than words. So what can you do to be that role model that people can look up to right now? And, one of the ways is not to verbally catastrophize all the stuff that's going on. If you watch anything on social media or the news, it feels like the world is ending, and it's very easy to go into those conversations and catastrophize about how bad it could be. Don't be that person. Lead by example. Be the visionary who can say, yes, these are difficult times, because no one likes a Pollyanna. These are tricky times. Admit it. It's fine to say, wow, this is nothing like we've experienced, but that doesn't mean the world's going to end. There are ways through this, and this is what I'm going to do proactively to make sure that there is an optimistic outlook going forward.
Yep. I like that. Before we get into our next question there, Heidi, I'm just going to go over to the comments here. We've got a few more people coming in and saying hi, and I just want to acknowledge you. Hi, Brendan. How are you? I hope you're well also. Melissa, I think I've said hi too. Hello again. Oh, Heidi, your lipstick looks great.
Yeah, that's actually an in-joke with Melissa and I. Yes, Melissa, you're right. And he owes me big time.
oh, okay. I want to know. I want an introduction.
Yeah.
Hi, Megan from City of Sydney Council. Lovely to see you here. Natalie's loving my hair. So I get hair compliments from Natalie Fitzgerald. Hello, lovely to see you. And I know that you know Heidi as well, Natalie, saying hi. Hello, there.
Natalie.
Great post from Nina. Yes, Natalie, from the Strata manager perspective, I can imagine that you also understand that overload that's happening in your inboxes right now. And thank you, Nina, at NetStrata for sharing that. We have Alyssa, who is here from the Smart Green Apartments program from City of Sydney Council. I'm just moving my glass of wine because it is in front of my screen and it's rather large and I can't see the comments. It's happy hour, guys. And we've got a lot of agreement there with Nina's post, which is great. And Henry says it's important not to be seen as capitalizing on the situation. Oh, yeah. So true. And haven't we seen some awful emails? I think someone mentioned to me that Coles sent out an advertisement for party supplies. We can't get toilet paper from Coles at the moment. We're not in for the party supplies. Yeah, scary stuff. So just watch your automated marketing, anybody who's into that, and just make sure that everything is in tune and look outward. Look outward. How can I be of service? How can I be of help? And the minute you start doing that, I think your anxiety levels decrease within ourselves. How can I help? And you don't get caught up in this craziness of, oh, how am I going to survive? It's how can I help others, and immediately feeling calmer. So on that note, Heidi, yes, cheers. Anyone else if you want to let us know if you brought a drink to happy hour.
Natalie's also got a G&T, so I just having a sip. Yeah,
I see that now. Yes, feel free to share with us what it is that you brought to happy hour. Even if it's a coffee, that's fine. It might even be your kids. If you're working from home and you got the kids there, no problem at all. Heidi, let's talk about personal resilience. We're all dealing with different situations in our own businesses, with our family members. A lot of us are very concerned about our elderly family members. We're concerned to be helping those who may be unwell or who are isolated at the moment. What can we be doing as people, not just as strata managers and as committee members, as people? How can we be working on our own personal resilience? And what are your tips when we're talking about our mental health and our well-being during this time?
Yeah, thank you for that question, because something that I've always said is that if you want to be a talented leader, you first need to be a talented self-leader. You've got to be able to successfully lead yourself, even through difficult times like these ones, before you can expect anybody to walk with you. So this means that you must take care of yourself first. You must put things in place. You have to be proactive in crazy times where everyone is falling around you, to prioritize yourself. And I think the first tip that I've got for that is to not continually check social media and the news, because all the clickbait that's going on does nothing for our ability to stay calm, to stay smart, to stay visionary and kind. What it does, it's, we go into this kind of fight, flight, freeze mode, and there is nothing positive that automatic response to danger, which is what we see when we go online. Our brain just goes into that and puts us in a place that we don't need to be as great leaders. So that is my first tip, definitely. Amongst all of us trying to pivot and do things a little differently and master tech perhaps that we've never had to master before, and find a way to keep cash flow going and provide solutions for people without appearing like we're trying to optimize and maximize a very horrible situation. Being still for perhaps only 10 minutes a day will really allow the brain to take a break and be able to just settle into that present calm state, so that we can perform better and brighter than we were before. Now, I always say, people go, oh God, I don't like, I'm not a meditator. Neither am I. I have tried my hardest. It's not for me. But one thing I know is that by sitting in silence just for 10 minutes without devices, without all the noise, it really helps your brain to perform. And if you think about those who go to the gym, and if you think about doing bicep curls, and you're curling and you're curling and you're curling, well, eventually you have to stop curling to give that muscle a break if you want it to perform later. Well, our brain is a muscle as well. And if you do not give it a break, it cannot perform as well as it needs to. And right now, we have to be focused and switched on. And to be able to be focused and switched on, we need to be still and give our brain a break for 10 minutes a day. It's only 0.7% of our whole day, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
doesn't sound like much.
Doesn't sound like much. And you can do it, if you're going to work, if you're allowed to go to work, you can do it on on public transport. But if not, if you're at home, just do it in your lunch times, sit outside.
Make sure you have lunch is one thing to tell these Strata managers.
Yes, I do know that they do not like to have lunch. It's so busy. But just give your brain a break. So that would be a definite tip. For the people who are having to work from home and aren't able to get out for whatever reason that might be, oh yes, I can see in the comments coffee, definitely yes, coffee,
water,
water, yes, but being able to move is still really important. If no better time than now to make sure you're moving your body, and I don't mean that you have to be doing a full out workout at the gym. It may be that you're just doing some gentle yoga stretches, but try to keep the movement going in your day so that blood circulation happens. And again, you're feeding your brain with oxygen so it can perform better.
Something just on that, Heidi, that I've become aware of just through the Facebook feed and LinkedIn as well, is that there are community groups out there, small businesses who are doing online fitness sessions. So these are the local yoga studio, the local Pilates studio. I have to say, I haven't seen the big guys, Fitness First or the big gyms doing it yet, but I imagine it's only a matter of time once they realize that they may be closed. They want to provide for their members, but don't forget that is there if you go looking for it. A little half-hour yoga session that you can do online in your bedroom at home if that's where you're working from. But if you can't get to the gym or you don't want to because you want to just make sure you keep that distance, then still there are plenty of creative ways to still get that time out, and that exercise is definitely something that I'm doing.
Yeah, and in fact, just as you're speaking, I have a 30-minute workout that you can do in your lounge room without any equipment. I'm happy to put the link to that in the comments after we get off.
Awesome.
So people can just follow through that just to get them moving.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi.
And I suppose the last one that I really want people to include to build their personal resilience is to laugh out loud. To find the things that are going to make you giggle, that fill you up and make you feel good. Because amongst all this bad news, we need to find a way to keep some form of joy in our life. And now that might be through friends and family, or it could be online. I personally love Celeste Barber. She cracks me up every single day. So if you follow her on Facebook or Instagram, that she's awesome to follow. She's very, very funny. But find out who it is, or think about who it is in your life that can make you laugh out loud, because we need to be able to do that through these times.
Excellent. Really, really important tip. Let's try and do some laughing out loud at some stage in our live today. It is an unusual experience. You'll understand it, Heidi, when you are doing these kinds of events where you can see all the people online who are there with you, watching and commenting, but we can't hear anybody. And when you go, I'll sort of might feel a little bit lonely, but I know you guys are going to hang around and ask questions and keep enjoying happy hour, and maybe we'll do some laughing out loud as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, Heidi, what do you think our organisations in the Strata sector, whether they be businesses like Strata management businesses, our industry bodies, or even the Strata buildings themselves, because they are a type of organisation, what can they be, as an organisation, what can they be learning or taking away from this extraordinary situation? Should they be looking to the future, thinking about what is it that we can do now that is going to build a more resilient more successful organization down the track? Are there lessons to be learned now and things that can be put in place to build a more resilient organization?
Absolutely. Look, I suppose the first thing that, to ensure that the workplaces are resilient is to keep them safe and healthy right now. That's our first step. And, whether that means you have to change the way people work with the flex, getting your tech right so that people can flex and work from home, that will be, over the ongoing months, be probably the most practical thing that you can do to ensure that you ride the wave nearly, to be able to continue to bring cash flow, to meet targets. Targets probably have to change. Whatever goals you had will have to change, but whatever the new norm is for you, getting that tech right so you can have people working flexibly will be the number one thing for resilience. And what's so interesting, I'm a keynote speaker, and I do face-to-face training in organizations. So that obviously has been deleted from my everyday life, but that doesn't mean that I feel like my life's over, because it's giving me a great opportunity to do things a little differently and perhaps spend the time doing the things that I wished I'd had the time to do previously. And I think if we can take that attitude and really see the opportunities in whatever that can be, again, I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna. It's tough. It's not easy. I know personally myself, it's not easy, but just finding those opportunities. So keeping a safe and healthy work environment, whether that is in a workplace or at home, getting your tech right so that you can allow for flexible work arrangements, which, some companies have been mastering this for a long time, and others are lagging a little bit. So again, this is an opportunity to get ahead of it. But what I really do really say is, once we go through this bit of probably the next 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks of scrambling and finding out how we can do this in a different way, being able to keep your great staff, keep the culture of your organization, whether that is one person or 100 people, when we get through this, because this too will pass, that you are in a situation where you have the most talented people in your industry, they're ready to go. And you can only do that by continuing to think about the culture within your company, by continuing training and development for those who are in your company, and whether that is technical skills or non-technical skills, but spending a smidge of a time looking beyond these next few weeks when we're scrambling, so that as an organization, you are going to be resilient to this particular time.
Yep. I definitely like the advice there, Heidi, to be thinking about what are all the things that we haven't had time to do before. We've had events cancelled. We've had travel cancelled. We've now got this downtime, if you like, or quiet time where we might be staying at home. We might be getting through, even though some of us, most of us in the Strata sector, incredibly lucky to still have that work coming through. And it's one of those few areas that, it just keeps ticking over, regardless what seems to happen in the world. But there would definitely be openings in the calendar there to dig deeper on those things that you always wanted to dig deeper on. And don't forget about those. And that's something to build for the future, if not for your organization, then definitely personally for yourself.
Absolutely.
And just on the issue of health in particular, it's not something that I like to get into too much when I'm doing these broadcasts, because, as I like to say, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, but certainly the place to go for up-to-date information on those issues within your businesses, what you should be doing with staff, with clients in terms of contact, is health.gov.au, the Australian government website. So make sure that that is your port of call for that. Well, Heidi, it has been so lovely to have you with us this afternoon for Happy Hour. How is your G&T going?
I'm going, but I'll be going for another one.
Yes, well, I'm going to let you go soon so you can go get a refill. I just want to say hi to some more people who've come through. Ash, it's lovely to see you. How are you? And we've got Karen Stiles from the Owners Corporation Network. Lovely to have you with us, Karen. Natalie's just posted a comment, a tip for some money to keep them going. Yes, our small businesses. Definitely, I had seen that suggestion on social media, and I did buy a gift voucher from my hairdresser today, something that I will use in 6 months' time when things are better, or something that I can give to someone, but she really, really needed the cash flow, needs the cash flow now. So think about businesses where you might be saving some money because you're not taking public transport to work, you're not eating out, you're not doing all that socializing. Well, can you go down to the local cafe and buy a voucher because they really need to keep paying the rent, which is a really serious situation. Melissa's just asking, can we watch this back? My phone didn't stop ringing and I missed bits. Yeah, the life of the Strata manager, Melissa. Tell you what, yes, absolutely. This video will be sitting on the Your Strata Property Facebook page for you to come back to, and for those who missed out on Happy Hour. Brendan's saying, thank you, Heidi. Great information. And Karen is loving the positivity. I love it too. And that is why I brought you on the show, Heidi Dening. It has been wonderful chatting to you. Now, you are, I know, developing, or you have ready some online programs when it comes to leadership and resilience. And I'm going to give our watchers a link, which my lovely helpers will place in the comments section as well. It is heididenning.com/bucket quiz. Can you tell us about the bucket quiz, Heidi?
Well, look, resilience is my thing, and building resilience is my thing. What I wanted to do is help people to be able to measure where their resilience is right now. And I often talk to people that if they think of their resilience like a bucket, and all the water in the bucket is like their strength and capabilities. So, when times are good, your bucket feels strong and sturdy. But when times get a little wobbly, like they are right now, that bucket can become a little fragile, and all your strengths and capabilities start leaking out. So what I wanted to do is to help people identify if they've got some holes in their bucket. And so this is like a quick 2-minute free quiz that you can do online. There's a few different sections, and you'll get a score at the end, and it'll just help you become aware if these stressful, uncertain and changeable times are actually having an impact on you that perhaps you weren't sure about.
I love that. I'm definitely going to head over and do that quiz. And we'll also put the link to your LinkedIn profile in the comments here as well, Heidi. So anyone who wants to find out more about you can head over there. Thank you so much, Heidi. Have a restful, quiet, relaxing, perhaps productive weekend.
Definitely. I will definitely do that. Lovely to be able to chat with you all. And please, any questions, just send them through.
Excellent. See you, Heidi.
Bye.
Okay, I have just pressed the magic button to send Heidi on her way. And I hope you enjoyed that. If you do have some more questions for Heidi, or you'd like to find out more about her resilience and her leadership programs, do head over to her LinkedIn profile and do take that bucket quiz as well and find out where you're sitting when it comes to your level of resilience. And I can see a comment there from Natalie Fitzgerald that she can highly recommend Heidi's strategies. They're very easy to include in every day. Yes, I know Natalie and her team have worked with Heidi in the past, Strata managers there in Sydney. So I am now going to head over and give you a bit of a running update on what I have been able to gather is happening in each of our states when it comes to strata law in these times, in particular our meetings, what we should be doing about strata meetings at a time when we are told to be keeping social distance, keeping 1.5 meters between each other. And some buildings, as many strata managers will know, some owners have been concerned about how they keep things running when these social distancing recommendations, if you like, are in place. So with the help of a number of my legal colleagues across the country, I'm able to bring you these updates. Of course, always check in with your Strata lawyer in your state or your SCA or your regulatory authority, whether that's a fair trading or the body corporate commissioner, to check what the latest updates are. But I can tell you what I've heard from Queensland, and this comes from Michael Kleinschmidt from Stratum Legal in Queensland. The bottom line is in Queensland that body corporates are legally required to act reasonably when they are carrying out their functions. So body corporates in Queensland need to be thinking about whether their decisions that they're making in the face of this outbreak are reasonable decisions. Do we hold a committee meeting? Do we hold a general meeting? Do we allow participation in person at that meeting? And my understanding in Queensland is that if it is a reasonable decision to say no, we're not doing these things, then that's going to be the safest course of action. And indeed, that's what Michael Kleinschmidt is saying. If you can avoid physical committee or general meetings wherever possible, do that until the risk abates. And you do need to think in Queensland whether you must conduct meetings during this time. If you have to conduct a meeting, then can you do so electronically? In Queensland, my understanding is you have the same rule that we do in New South Wales, which is that if you want to hold meetings other than in person, and if you want to vote electronically, you do have to opt in to that process. Check with your Strata manager. If your building has opted in, and Strata managers just be on top of that, both in Queensland and in New South Wales. Michael's prediction, if I hope he doesn't mind me saying, is that the Queensland government might actually roll out some new legislation, which has been pending for a little while in Queensland. They might actually bring that new legislation forward and start it sooner rather than later because it solves some of these problems. So that'll be interesting if we see that in Queensland. Michael does have an article that he has published about this, and my dear helpers are going to put that the link to that article into the comments here. So go and check out Michael's article if you are in Queensland and you're looking for an update. Heading over to New South Wales, that is where I am. And I know a number of you listened to my special episode of the podcast, which came out last weekend. It's episode number 204, I believe. And we'll pop a link to that in the comments here as well. I raised in that podcast the issues similar to Queensland that we have when it comes to holding meetings other than in person and holding meetings where you can vote electronically. We do have to opt in. I have been talking to Chris Duggan at SCA New South Wales. I've also been talking to SCA National about the conversations that are happening with government about perhaps waiving the requirement to officially opt in or even lifting the proxy limit rule. I would really be interested to hear your thoughts here today on changing the proxy limit rule in New South Wales to allow more people to vote by proxy directed, for example, to the chair or to just one or two people. Think about how that sits with you in these exceptional circumstances. SCA, their latest media comment was that they're asking the government to consider waiving the requirement to opt in to electronic voting and allow buildings to move on to online meetings out of necessity. And the request is that there should be leniency from government, from the tribunal, around whether the resolution to vote electronically has been passed or not. And as I said, the SCA is also asking for leniency on the current proxy limitations. So in New South Wales, 20 lots or less, one person can hold one proxy. More than 20 lots, one person can hold the number that is equivalent to 5% of the number of lots. So a problem there that we have in New South Wales, we can't just send in proxies. I do know that there was a conference call with government yesterday with the broader property sector, and at the moment, the report from Fair Trading is that they're taking stock of the situation and that they are adapting. They want to get all the issues on the table before some hard and fast decisions are made. So definitely stay tuned for what's happening in New South Wales on that front. Excellent. I can see those links that are coming through in the comments section there. Alex is asking, what about voting for your Strata committee at the AGM? Can we vote electronically, or does this need to be in person? Should we have a scenario where we have to self-isolate or go into a lockdown? Really good question, Alex. I'm not sure, but maybe I'll assume that you're in New South Wales. This is what I want you to bear in mind when it comes to Strata committees. Under the New South Wales legislation, your current Strata committee only vacates its position at the end of the annual general meeting at which a new committee is elected. So if you don't elect a new committee, then your current Strata committee carries on and carries over. They do not vacate their positions just because an AGM is due or just because they've been in that position for more than 12 months. If you're not holding an AGM because you haven't opted in for electronic voting or electronic meetings, you are delaying that in accordance with the advice that seems to be given at the moment, then your current Strata committee is just going to continue on. And that's okay. That is fine. This is an urgent situation, an extraordinary situation. You will always have a Strata committee. If you have a Strata manager, then absolutely your normal agency agreement would be saying that the duties of the committee are delegated to the Strata manager anyway. So you also have that fallback if for some reason committee members sell or they're not available. Our legislation in New South Wales also says if you don't elect a committee for whatever reason, then powers fall back to, and you don't have a Strata manager with delegated powers, then those powers are going to fall back to the owners corporation. So there are a number of fallbacks there when it comes to committees and being concerned about committees for some reason being vacated. But I don't think it is as serious an issue as some people might be talking about, because your committee just carries on until a new committee is elected. Just heading over to what is happening in Victoria, I've had a chat with Tim Graham, who, as well as being the president of the Australian College of Strata Lawyers, he's a partner at HWL Ebsworth in Melbourne in Victoria. And he's pointed out to me that Section 80, subsection 1 of the Owners Corporation Act 2006 provides that a lot owner may participate in a general meeting in person, by teleconference in accordance with the regulations, by proxy, or in any other manner provided for by the regulations. And there's also no penalty for failing to call a general meeting at a particular time. So Tim's suggestion to me has been he thinks that Victorian owners corporations are okay. They don't suffer from the same problems that we are having in New South Wales and in Queensland. I know that we have had a couple of Victorians, Melbourneites, on the session here. So if you're still there, feel free to let me know your comments on that. But that is the guidance that has come from Tim Graham at HWL Ebsworth in Melbourne. Western Australia, I have heard from Mark Atkinson at Atkinson Legal in Perth that this is what's happening in WA. Bear in mind that in WA, you guys have some reforms, some serious reforms, an overhaul of your Strata Titles Act that are due to commence. And I believe that they had been due to commence, or are still due to commence, on the 1st of May. Now, I know that Mark and some other WA practitioners are lobbying for an extension of that date, bearing in mind everybody is rushing around in a little bit of a befuddlement about our current situation. It's probably not the best time to introduce an entirely new piece of legislation. So the reforms may be drawn out. We don't yet know. Definitely keep your eyes and your ears open on what's happening in WA. So the advice coming out of WA is that general meetings should be cancelled if they're not urgent, if you don't need urgent funding or urgent expenditure. If you do need to hold a meeting, then you can use proxies. There are no limits on those in WA, and of course comply with all of the government health requirements and guidelines when it comes to holding meetings if there's a few people in the room. Adjourn a meeting if you feel like somebody has attended a meeting who shouldn't be there because they're not following those requirements. General meetings, that are held after the reforms start. So if the reforms in WA actually do start on the 1st of May, then there is going to be, things are going to be happening a little bit differently. So I believe that there is going to be permission for electronic meetings happening in the reforms, so keep your eye on those. And larger schemes who want to have an electronic meeting, if they have some contentious business, then in these early days that may not work. So WA is tricky. We need to know when the reforms are going to start, whether they're going to be delayed or not will change the situation a little bit. For your council meetings, so that's committees, others know them as committees, you can hold offline voting. I believe that is permitted in WA. So as I always say, I am a practitioner in New South Wales, not in these other states, and forgive me if I have misquoted any of my colleagues there or misguided anybody. Do check in with your Strata lawyer in your particular state. If you're not sure who that is, have a chat to your Strata manager and grab that updated information. Okay, now, how's everybody going with happy hour? Have you had to get any refills? Are you relaxing now? Are the kids home and banging on your door, vying for your attention? I have just seen Heidi has posted into the comments there that if you are stuck inside and working from home, here is a home workout that you can do in your lounge room. I love it. We will definitely be checking that out. Now, with a number of you perhaps working from home, self-isolating, not perhaps having the social contact that you are used to and not being able to chat with like-minded colleagues. If this is something that you would like me to do more of, if this is something that you'd like to enjoy each Friday afternoon for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, I'm signing myself up here. I am more than happy to arrange that. This is, you can tell by the way that I talk, friends of mine say, oh my God, Amanda, you can talk. You can tell by the way that I just keep talking that I enjoy this, and I do want to be of help to you. And if we set up these Friday afternoon chats, you can let me know in advance what it is that you want me to address. In New South Wales, I have just heard that our short-term letting legislation is due to start on the 10th of April. Interesting. That one was announced. I don't even know if it was announced. They've been very quiet about that. It was a colleague of mine who drew my attention to that. I'm going to have a close look at that, and I'm working through that with members inside our membership community on a webinar next week. If there are things like that, other things that are coming up for you within your businesses, within your buildings, we've got some time. Isolation education, let's call it isolation education. We've got some time to dig deep on some issues. You let me know what you want, and I'm happy to schedule these kinds of sessions to suit you. Next Friday afternoon, I believe I have a podcast recording scheduled with Arena Van Alst around about this time. So I wonder if the lovely Rena would agree to doing a live podcast episode. We'll see. I'm putting her on the spot there for that one, but it would be nice to have Rena here to chat with us all. Looking over at the comments here, Russ says, I think you can. Let's keep reading. I'm not sure what I think you can means. Strata Schemes Management Regulation Clause 14(1)(b). Okay, we're in New South Wales. Prevents an election being held by pre-meeting voting. Yes. But Clause 14(1)(a) deals with remote participation and does not restrict against being used for elections. So I think remote participation is okay for election. Russ, I intentionally avoided that discussion because I don't think our legislation is clear about whether we can elect strata committees electronically or not. I had a very quick look at it the other day, and it wasn't something that I dug deep on, but that's why I think the focus should be not so much on how do we elect new committees in New South Wales, but being aware that our current committees remain in place and there's no need for them to vacate their positions. There's no need for a new committee to be elected. Melissa has a puppy on her lap. Oh, what kind of puppy do you have, Melissa? My puppy, I think, is waiting out that door for me. It's just been collected from daycare. Maybe we could do a puppy session. We could share each other's puppies. Michelle is saying this is great. It's the only social contact I've had all day. Mwah. I love you, Michelle, and I miss you. Michelle is on my team, and she has, for her own personal reasons, her immune system is not the best at the moment, very sensibly been self-isolating, and my team has definitely been working from home. If Strata managers, if you have questions about business, about running your business online, about how you do work remotely, about software, about technology, those of you who have followed me for some time hopefully will know that I know a little bit about technology and about online business, and I always I get contacted by colleagues and friends about recommendations for types of software. How do we record our screen? How do we do webinars? How do we do online trainings and things like that? So we could always have a session about that as well. Feel free to flick me, even if it's just on email, if not in a Facebook message, a post on the page, those questions about how we may operate in this new world. Tapping into something Heidi said earlier, I think there's going to be a lot of learnings here for business, and things that maybe you've been putting off because I don't really want to think about going paperless right now. I don't want to think about that new server. I don't really want to think about how do we log in when we're working remotely. We're all being forced to deal with these issues now. And I think, heaven forbid, this happens again, similar situation, then we're going to be much more prepared. So it's definitely not the time to be putting your head in the sand, but it's a time to be chatting to people who understand how these systems work, have recommendations for you, and can help you through this process. So do reach out to me on those issues. And if enough of you want to do a business session, if you want to do something about appropriate marketing at this time, about online marketing, content marketing, I get asked a lot, Amanda, why don't you do any education on marketing? Can do. Let me know what you need. Okay, just going back to the comments here. Ross is saying, if an AGM is postponed, does the existing annual budget, including lot owner levies, continue until the AGM is held? Excellent question, Ross. I mentioned this in the podcast episode 204. One reason why buildings might feel that they're forced to hold a general meeting is to raise levies. Have a look at the minutes of your last AGM or the last time that you struck regular quarterly, or in New South Wales, they're not called that, they're called regular contributions, I think, usually quarterly. When was the last time you struck them, and what period did they cover? And you're right that if you haven't covered a period that's coming up, then you're not going to be able to raise levies. So that's one of the reasons the Australian College of Strata Lawyers and Strata Community Association are going to government and saying, hey, there's some buildings here who may really, really need to have meetings. Can they please do those, be permitted to do those electronically, even if they haven't opted in? And the thing to do when you have those meetings to avoid this problem is to resolve a motion that levies continue to roll over at the same amount each quarter until redetermined. Every AGM should have that motion on it and be resolved, just in case you can't hold a meeting in time to raise levies. If you've got a rolling levy motion there that says levies continue to be raised at the same rate as last determined until they are redetermined, then you're going to be covered. And I see plenty of those motions. Good professional strata managers, it's something that Rena does and Rena recommends. They're putting those motions on their agenda. So if you're a strata manager, if you're not already doing that, it's a good lesson to be recommending that to your buildings. And if you're a secretary or a treasurer, then definitely request from your strata manager that that motion goes on. Savia is saying, yes, please, Amanda, at least for the next 1 month will be great. Okay, I think that's yes to happy hour or to some Friday sessions perhaps, or some more live sessions. No problem, got that. Brendan is saying, my understanding, Ross, is that the budget and levies would continue the same unless an AGM or EGM is held to alter the budget. So I hope that I've addressed that, Brendan. If you have expressly struck levies only to cover a certain period, then no, your strata manager, your committee is not going to have the authority, at least in New South Wales, to continue sending out levy notices if levies haven't been struck for a certain period. When it comes to budgets, a little bit different, unless you are in a large strata scheme, which is over 100 lots in New South Wales. large strata schemes do have to abide by the budget a little more closely than small schemes do, but most of us are in those smaller schemes. And in that case, there is no rule, there's no law about spending only in accordance with the budget. This comes as a shock to a lot of owners. There's no rule about we have line items in the budget, so we can only spend that much. Your committee, if something comes up, if the roof caves in and you suddenly need a new roof and it's going to cost 100 grand, if there's 100 grand in the bank and it needs to be done, just because it's not budgeted is not a reason not to do it. So the budget is less of a concern in my mind. If you're in a large strata scheme where you are over 100 lots, then you often have a restriction that you can't spend more than 10% over a particular line item. Some buildings do resolve to remove that restriction. So strata managers are really going to have to be on their toes to go back perhaps to previous AGM resolutions and just make sure that they're on top of what their particular buildings have resolved to do when it comes to levies and when it comes to budgets in large schemes as well. So really good question there. Thank you, Brendan. Thumbs up from Savia. That was for the webinars on Friday. Yes, for the Facebook Lives on Friday. No problem. We can do them as webinars too. And then if you guys want to have your cameras on, we could do a little session. We could all see each other. And then you can talk as well. I won't be losing my voice and getting thirsty because my wine is still here. See, there we go. Idea. All right, leave it with me. Melissa has a French Bulldog Cross Cavalier. Oh, so cute. What is your French Bulldog's name, Melissa? She's your Strata puppy. Is that because you're in Strata, Melissa? It's funny because my father actually calls our dog Louis Strata Louis, because he has appeared in some of my marketing, and I do talk about being in Strata and having changed the rules about pets in my building when we decided that we wanted to have Louis. And now we have about 5 dogs in my building, and my building is 37 lots, so quite a few dogs around. We're right across the road from a dog park, so it's a popular place to be with dogs. Okay, and her name is Peanut. Gorgeous, lovely. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. It is almost 5 o'clock. It is time. If some of you are in the office, it's time to go. Get out of there. If some of you are at home, it's time to relax, spend some time with loved ones, or go and read a good book or watch a movie. Lots of Netflix happening. Check out some good series. Let me know what you're into. Thank you so much for joining me here today for Happy Hour. I really do hope that we will be doing it again. It's lots of fun, and send me through or post in the comments under this video. I know a number of you will be coming back to watch the video later. Post in the comments what topics you'd like me to cover in future sessions, whether you like it, what your ideas are, what times and days might suit you. Send it all in. I always say more is more, and I can take from those ideas and put something together that everybody enjoys. Thank you so much for your company today, everybody. Have a keep safe, healthy, quiet, relaxing weekend.